Hey everyone, I'm your host Cadence, and welcome back to another episode of Project Honesty. This is a podcast by a young adult, for young adults, to acquire unfiltered advice and bold opinions, as well as take deep dives into the issues shaping our world. We'll challenge ideas, explore new perspectives, and have fun while navigating the ups and downs of life. This is Project Honesty, where truth meets curiosity and every conversation matters. If you cannot tell by the new intro, we have officially entered Season 2 of Project Honesty. And if you haven't already, you can go check out the 2024 Season 1 Wrapped that is available on Spotify and YouTube. It's very much like a year-in review episode. We covered highlights and lessons from the first year of Project Honesty, and I also gave some special thanks in that episode, so I highly recommend taking a listen. To start off the year and today's topic, it's something very important to me and something I didn't always have through my life, and a thing that we all navigate in different ways and find in different places. Friendships. Today, I'm going to talk about how to tell a real friend from a fake friend, how to tell a friendship is expiring from both your perspective as well as your friend's perspective, some healthy ways to let go of friends that aren't positive influences in your life or that don't hold value in your space anymore, and also go over some signs that you have a really, really good friend. Just one thing to remember, this is just advice, not a solution. The decision you ultimately make when it comes to the friendships that you have in your life has to come from you. I'm only here to provide some comfort or understanding for those navigating complex friendships, which is something that is a goal for me on here because I don't actually get to do it often with the topics that I talk about. But then also, I always wanted a guiding light through friendships that I didn't necessarily have. And so I hope that this in any way brings you some understanding or comfort from what's happening in your friendship and your relationships at the moment. So my backstory and my personal experience with friendship, this is a topic that I've talked about in bits and pieces on here, and I've shared my experiences here before, but I wanted an episode that would really pull this topic together. For the first decade of my life, I never really had a real friend. I didn't know what it meant to experience true friendship or how that feeling even felt. It was very foreign to me. And it's because I got bullied a lot in elementary school, heavy bullying. And that is something that has and will continue, frankly, to influence the decisions and relationships I choose to form in my life. As well, it will continue to affect my perspective on commitment and trust from a platonic standpoint. I do definitely have trust issues and commitment issues, not only in romantic encounters, but platonic encounters. And that's deeply rooted in my past with friends. When I think about it, I've only really experienced what it means to have a real friend within the last four-ish years. That's why I really want to break down how to tell who's real and who's fake. And this is something that has taken me forever to actually understand, and it still is quite hard for me to understand. And it's also hard for me to actually recognize true friendship because that, again, is a concept I didn't experience until later on. So I have had really no baseline from what to expect from a friend, and that's again something why I'm doing this episode, is so that you can find that baseline and make decisions from there. That is the type of person I am. I always need a baseline or a home base to start from, and I never really had that when it comes to friends. So when it came to differentiating real and fake, that took me a really long time, and it's still a skill I'm working on. Real versus fake. I've broken it down into 7 points, but there's so many other things I could have added to both of the lists. So starting with real. The obvious. You guys have a common interest. Y'all share a special quality or hobby that bonds y'all together. That is something it's not important in every friendship. You can be really close friends with someone and barely have any common interest. I think some of my friends, I'm I don't know what our common interest is, but I love you equally as a friend. But I think common interest is very important to have when it comes to having a healthy, real friendship, because it gives you guys an outlet to relate to each other. Number 2, They don't listen to outside rumors. They trust you. They hear you. Therefore, they believe true information comes from you when it comes to your reputation. So if someone who isn't you is saying that you are rude or whatever, or you're fake, or you did this or you did that, a good friend will not just believe that. Instead, a real friend will hear that, come to you with that, and hear your perspective and hear your side of the story. Because like anything in life, there are two sides to every story, and that is really important. If they come to you to figure things out, that is like a key pointer that they are a real friend, because they know you, they want to believe you, therefore they will come to you and discuss those things, those outside external forces that you guys are absorbing, and talk about it. Number 3, they don't judge. Judgment and constructive criticism are two very different things, but they do not judge you for the choices that you make or the person that you are. They love your quirks. They really understand you, and when you are in your most vulnerable, they will never judge you, and they are that space that you can go to just be vulnerable. And I think that's something that, as a teenager especially, it's hard to find in friendships, especially as a girl, but it's definitely you have to find your person for that. Number 4, this ties in heavily with number 3. They listen and they address your feelings and they check in. When a friendship is really deep, you will actually hit a point where your friends know you aren't okay, even if you say you are. One of my friends, so I was going through a little bit of a rough patch, a month, 2-ish months ago. I don't know. It's now it's 2025. Well, I have to think about this. Yeah, 2 months ago. And I was telling everyone, I was like, oh yeah, I'm okay. I'm so okay. This is cool. This is cool. This is life. And one of my friends, we were driving to the mall, and we went and sat in the parking lot, and she goes, I know you're not okay. And it was just me and her in my car, and she just said, you're not okay. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And it's just because she knows me so well that I'm a really bad liar when it comes to her. And so she listened to me, and she really validated the feelings that I had after when we talked about it. And she kept checking in with me days after, and still does now. I love that girl. Oh my God. But yeah, a real friend will truly validate your feelings. They will listen to your feelings, and then they'll check in after. So there's a follow-up to you expressing your feelings. And heavily tied into that one is point 5. There's a mutual trust. So when you are in those vulnerable moments, those hard moments, those down moments, there is a mutual trust that your friend won't go telling people everything that you tell them, or they won't share private personal information that you don't want the world to know, because there's all things we don't want the world to know. And so there's that trust there. And I think about it again, the girl that knows when I'm not okay, even if I say I'm I could trust her with pretty much anything in my life. And I mean, she knows every single thing about me, but there's a mutual trust, and it goes both ways. So you also don't go telling people your friend's stuff, and that trust is something that I actually had to learn. And I think a big part of me, especially learning trust, was learning how to be vulnerable first, because I found that when you show people that you're vulnerable, especially people that you're going to be really good friends with, it opens that door for mutual trust because of that vulnerability, because it shows them that you're willing to put yourself in a slightly uncomfortable situation to show what is human. This is something that I love now, is vulnerability. I love when people are vulnerable, especially in front of me, because the human emotion is so beautiful. But vulnerability and mutual trust really go into if your friend listens and addresses your feelings. Number 6 is encouraging challenge and positive reinforcement. This is so nice to receive from anybody, but especially from a friend. They really encourage you to keep going. They strengthen your work ethic. They're there for you when you need reassurance, and they want to see you succeed. A real friend will never ever be jealous of your success. A real friend wants to see you succeed. They want to see you shine, and they're going to be there when you do, and when you accomplish the things that you've always wanted to accomplish. And I think it's really beautiful to see that, and I'm glad that like me and my friends do that for each other, and I love doing that for my friends. I love celebrating their wins. I think celebrating your friends' personal achievements is a great indicator of a real friend. And it's something that's required for a really healthy friendship, is someone who will celebrate with you, won't be against you for finding success. And number seven is quite obvious, but I think I put it at the end of the list to kind of re-encapsulate everything, is honesty. Project Honesty. Honesty is a great thing that you need for everything in life, but especially in a friendship. Your friend has to keep it real with you. Will talk about accountability later, but I think when your friend lies to you, they don't love you. They don't love you. A real friend will never ever lie to you. And me and my friends have a mutual understanding that we are 100% honest all of the time, because honesty won't hurt the right person. Honesty will never ever hurt someone who is willing to listen. And even if it does, the right person will turn it into a lesson. They won't take it as a criticism. And so I think honesty is a really good foundation for any relationship or connection, for that matter, that you have in your life. And honesty is the key ingredient to every single one of these points. You cannot have a common interest, or you can't be non-judgmental, and you can't have mutual trust and all these other things without being completely honest. And again, honesty also requires vulnerability. Sometimes it is not a great, you don't feel great expressing your feelings sometimes. That's okay. But you have to always be honest. At the end of the day, I tell everyone this, all my friends can attest to this, always be honest. Always. That's a good rule. Okay, fake. So, number one, they use you. The friendship is very opportunistic, and they use you to get ahead, and they take advantage of your kindness and your resources for their personal gain with nothing in return. This is something that has literally happened to me my whole life, and it still happens to me. People like to take advantage of me all the time. I've been getting better at not letting it happen, because I like to think of myself as a girl boss. So, when a friend is using you for specific things, and you can tell, it doesn't just have to be like money or something, but it could be like experiences or homework, or like using you as a shoulder to cry on, but that is the only reason you guys are friends. That is a big thing. You might think that your friend is going through a hard time when they come to you and cry, but you know that they're fake when you go to them and they go, oh, I don't know, sorry. There has to be some back and forth in that. And so when they're opportunistic and they take advantage of you, that is not a real friend. That's a fake friend. Number two, they do not prioritize you or your relationship, and they won't work on things or address the problems in the friendship. We are human, okay? There will be problems in your friendship sometimes. You and your friends will fight sometimes. But a real friend would address those and work on them. A fake friend will just brush them off, or gaslight you into thinking something didn't happen, or just won't want to put in the effort to fix them. They don't fight for that friendship. They don't fight for that connection. And that is something that also has happened to me a lot. And I think that's all pointers to a fake friend. And number three, they don't listen just to anything. They don't listen. They don't validate your feelings. They don't listen to you when you're upset. They don't open that door for you to be vulnerable with them. And they just don't listen. They don't listen to you. They don't respect your feelings. And this ties into number two, whereas they won't work on things or address problems. They won't listen to the problems that you address or bring up. And that is a clear pointer to someone being fake. Number four, they break your trust or cross boundaries. Now, there's a difference between positive encouragement and crossing personal boundaries. A good friend will push you outside of your comfort zone sometimes and really make sure that you experience what it means to be vulnerable. But at the same time, when you have a boundary, they have to respect it. If they are consistently crossing a boundary of yours, for example, if you are a skinny person, and the skinny friend, quote unquote skinny friend, And your boundary is, please don't make jokes about that. And they consistently make jokes about that, especially if it's in front of people. That is a clear crossing of a boundary that is not funny, that is not a joke, that is blatant disrespect. It's also a clear sign of breaking trust. You trusted your friend with the fact that they wouldn't do that, and they did it anyways. So that is something that you will never experience in a real friendship. That is what fake friends do. Number 5, there's inconsistency. Their actions and behaviors don't align with their words. So when you address a problem and say they don't listen, their actions and behaviors in response to your feelings and your emotions don't align with the things that they say or the things that they promise. That inconsistency is just showing a lack of willingness to put in effort. It's disrespectful, and that means that person isn't for you. Someone who truly loves you and truly wants to be friends with you and respects you will be consistent with their actions and behaviors when it comes to aligning with their words. Number 6, there's a lack of support, and they don't care or celebrate your personal achievements. Oh my gosh, this is something I experienced in the early years of my life, like literally all throughout elementary school, and didn't realize up until like recently, like in the last 3 years. But when a friend is jealous of your achievements or doesn't support you through your personal endeavors or your creative outlet, they're not your friend. I'm going to use acting as an example. So I do 2-ish shows a year. Depends on how busy I am. I don't know. And I have friends that consistently show up. They show up and they appreciate and they're there for me because they want to see me succeed and be happy. I have also had friends that don't care to even attempt to come. And they don't ask and they don't care. And when I say, oh, it was a great show, they're like, cool. That's not a real friend. There's a reason I'm not friends with those people anymore. So yeah, that lack of support. And it really is fun, especially like in female friendships. You need to find the women that are going to celebrate you, because I think women already like are worthy of celebratory behavior, but especially from their network of friends, it should definitely be a thing that you are celebrated. 7, this ties into everything. They don't care to ask about your life. They don't hold a stake in your personal life, and they couldn't care less. It's not important to them what happens in your life. It's not important to them. So when is it time to let a friendship go? This is determined from the things I've noticed through the burning out of some friendships I've let go of throughout the last 3-4 years, and it's broken down yet simplified into 5 different points. Number 1, it's exhausting. It's being an energy vampire. This person no longer charges your batteries, and it's not enjoyable to be around them or spend time with them. It's not fulfilling to you anymore, and it is exhausting, and it doesn't feel like you want to spend your energy and time with them. And I think energy vampire is a really good thing to bring up, because there are people that drain your batteries. And if you are friends with those people, it will not be a sustainable friendship, because you cannot be friends with someone that is an energy vampire to you. Number 2, a really natural thing that actually it happens a lot, especially as young adults and teenagers, is shifted values. So your goals, your values, and your wants are different from the start of the friendship, and they don't align with the other person's anymore. This could be a common interest that is lost and making it hard to relate to each other. This is okay. This is normal. This is so healthy, especially for young people, because we are still growing. We are still developing what it means to have values, and it really takes time and certain people to really shape those values for you, and it's okay. That's a really common thing in teenage friendships, is shifted values. It happened to me multiple times, happened to me recently, and that's okay. That's okay. We are all just people figuring it out, and it's okay to not be someone's person anymore. That's a really hard thing to understand, but it's true. Sometimes you cannot be someone's person, and that is okay. Number 3, there's a lack of respect. This one, I've personally experienced this a lot, and I've actually experienced it within like the last 6 months. this friend becomes dismissive or ignorant. And again, they're not celebratory of your personal achievements, which to me is a blatant disrespect. They cross boundaries consistently and they're rude. Another thing that I added in here is that they feel like they are higher up on the social pyramid than you. They believe they are better than you, therefore they act like that. And they consistently act as such, and they reinforce that idea that they are better than you and that they have higher status than you. That's a sign to let go. That was the biggest sign for me recently to let someone go, was feeling that status shift. Number 4, there's one-sided effort. This is something I experienced a lot in elementary school. You're the only one putting in the time to continue and feed this relationship and connection, and there is no reciprocation from the other end. It's just you putting in all the work, and that a friendship is really two-sided. You have to, it's not always 50-50, but you are both putting in a consistent amount of effort, and eventually it just gets easy. But especially in the start of friendship, there has to be equal effort from both sides to really fuel that connection. And so when your effort starts becoming one-sided, it's really time to reanalyze what that connection means to you and why you are choosing to put your energy into that person. And number 5, there's underappreciation. So you feel taken advantage of and you're only used for certain things. I remember a lot for most of my life, I have been the shoulder to cry on. I have been the therapist friend, as people call me. And that is being taken advantage of. I openly admit that I've been taken advantage of multiple times, and I still am. Like 100% I still am. And I think it's a learning thing for everyone, and it's different. I'm learning how to get myself out of those sort of situations, but it's really a personal journey that you have to go on. And then paired with that, there's leaving you out consistently, and they're not considering how you would feel in certain situations. They're inconsiderate. Exclusion is a really big sign that someone does not respect you and probably doesn't want to be your friend. There's a theory by Mel Robbins, I love her, called the let them theory. And she talks about how if your friends leave you out, let them. If your friends are doing things to be disrespectful to you, let them. Because she talks about how we as people are always trying to control others, and it's that in itself is an energy vampire, and one that you do not want to be stuck in, and one that I was stuck in for a very long time, and something that is not fair. And so when you are underappreciated and taken advantage of by an inconsiderate friend, that is a sign that it is not healthy anymore. Some healthy strategies to let go of a friendship that isn't serving you. Again, I think I've broken this down into 5 ones. The first one, make this your number 1 rule. And not just for letting go of friendships, but for life. Communication. Oh my God, ask anybody that talks to me on a daily basis. I will always tell you communication is king. No one can read your mind. The person will not know how you feel truly unless you say something about it. And you have to address and advocate for your own feelings instead of pushing them down. Oh my God, I gaslight myself all the time into thinking that I'm okay. I'm not usually okay when I'm in moments like that. And so you really have to advocate and express those feelings. And like some might think that pushing those feelings down helps the friendship because you think, oh, okay, I don't want to bring up this problem because it's going to make it a big mess. So I'm just going to push it away and ignore it and just like continue on like nothing happened. Spoiler alert, that doesn't do shit for the friendship. That actually ruins friendships because you have so much pent up anger and pent up emotions that it takes over you and hurts you ultimately. And then you're not addressing it to the other person, which is unfair to them. You have to make sure to communicate in a healthy manner. Again, be honest and respect yourself, but also respect the other person. Communication will become unhealthy if the other person is disrespected. So it is not disrespectful to be honest, but there are ways to honestly communicate without being disrespectful. And I think really like a way to do that is I statements. So you say, I feel like this because this, or I feel like this friendship isn't where it needs to be. That is how to avoid disrespecting the other person. You also have to remember though, like this is your truth. If they are offended or hurt by your honest feelings and are shutting down your emotions and not giving them that space, they are not your friend. They also don't understand healthy communication if they're doing that. A real friend will listen and take your feelings to heart and turn them into positive action to grow and mend that friendship. So if they're not doing that and they find it offensive that you are honest with them, they're not your friend. They're not your friend. And make sure this communication is done in person. Please make it in person. No matter how scary it is to address your feelings face to face, do it. Feelings will get lost in translation and underappreciated if this communication is not face to face because, surprise, text messages do not portray human emotion very well. Unless you are a novelist and write books and can write a text message as long as the sun and make it super detailed, you'll never get proper communication through text. So please, do it in person. And communication, I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be scary. I will never lie to you about that. Communication is definitely scary and it's vulnerable, but scary is good and scary is okay. Allow scary to be this like positive, healthy thing that leads you to understanding rather than it leaving you frozen. It's okay to not know. It's okay to be in scary, unknown places, but you're going to get yourself out of there. You are. You are. I believe it. And again, using I statements and addressing how you feel and what you feel, but avoiding the harsh, direct blame. That can happen in communication a lot, especially if there's a lot of angry feelings. And you also have to be willing to listen. You have to be empathetic to the other person and don't let your feelings be brushed aside. So you are allowed to listen to the other person, but if they are brushing your feelings away and aside, that's not okay. That's not healthy. Number 2 is reflect. Leading up to this communication, reflect. After the communication, reflect. You need time to gather and clarify your thoughts. Give yourself that space. Try and clarify the concise reason or reasons the friendship doesn't serve you anymore. You have to reflect on your emotions also so that communication is healthy, because then you'll have a concise idea of what you want to say rather than just exploding. And that's something that is also just not healthy communication. So always remember, reflect. You have to remind yourself to create boundaries. Create boundaries, and this, there's not really any examples of this because you have to create boundaries based on your situation. So just remind yourself to create boundaries. And then another part of creating boundaries is self-care. Toxic friends can lead you to forgetting to care for yourself. So take that moment, do something you enjoy, be with people you enjoy being around. Find that happiness in that center and ground yourself in love. That will truly help you during a hard time and after a hard time. And the 5th one is moving on and healing. Self-care is a big part of this. And grieving a friendship is normal, even if the friendship was toxic. This is something that I learned very quickly, but I'll use a recent example. I was friends with someone for a year and then we just kind of drifted apart and I ended the friendship, and I was on the phone with my friends after we like communicated about this. I ended it over FaceTime, which is technically face to face, and then I just kind of let that go. And then I cried. I cried for a couple hours after that. It's okay. I let myself feel that feeling, and being sad is okay. And it's okay because you really loved that person. You did. Even if it was toxic, that person still played a significant role in your life. But the one thing you have to remember is to not let it consume your spirit. You're gonna be okay. I promise. You're gonna be okay. And some signs that you have a really good friend. They hold you accountable. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Good friends will consistently hold you accountable to the good things that you do and the bad things that you do. So they want to see you succeed. And I think holding someone accountable for the things that they do is a sign of love. So an example of this is if I do something kind of stupid, my friends hold me accountable through making sure that I'm okay, bringing me back down to reality, making me realize the mistake that I made or the lesson that I need to learn. And they want to see me grow from that. This is also why honesty is so important in friendships, is because you can't hold someone accountable without being honest. And so I love when people hold me accountable and keep me humble because it's really fun. And so I think, and I do that for my friends, they do that for me, and that is something that should be consistent throughout a friendship, is accountability. And they catch you before you fall. They see that struggle, they support you through the hard times, and when life isn't sustainable on its own, they're there to pick up the rest until you get back on your feet. That's a real sign of love. That's love right there. Platonic love is they catch you. I've caught a lot of my friends and they've caught me. It's amazing. Judgment doesn't exist. They find you beautiful. They appreciate and compliment your quirks, and you guys feed off of each other's energy. And something that ties into that is instead of draining your battery, they charge it. Being around them is a source of energy and happiness, and there's no need to impress each other. You are simply just two souls existing with each other. That is something that a lot of young people, especially, I feel like don't understand. You don't always have to impress your friends or do something with your friends. You can just sit in the same room and exist. And that's a sign of a really healthy friendship, is that willingness to just exist and do nothing sometimes. And another thing is they defend your name even when you aren't in the room. That loyalty is something that is very precious and very pure. And when someone does that for you, that is a good friend. That is a great friend. I hope that this was a comforting and informative episode for everyone. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of Project Honesty. And thank you for listening to the first episode of Season 2 of Project Honesty. You can check us out on social media. Our Instagram is at project_honesty24. Our TikTok is project.honesty. And our website is linked in our Instagram bio. We are available for listening on Spotify and YouTube, and if you enjoy listening to Project Honesty, share us with friends and family, and you can direct them to the Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, website, or TikTok to help them learn more. Remember to subscribe, follow, and click the bell icon for updates when I post, and remember, the more listeners, the bigger the family.